Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. The governor gave comments in response to the Texas school shooting. He said he is looking forward to sign anti-gun legislation into law in June. A memorial was held on the anniversary of a shooting in San Jose. People remembered the 10 victims with an eternal flame monument. The Los Angeles sheriff is facing an investigation into deputy gangs. Witnesses testified that they are still active, but the sheriff says the hearing was orchestrated to influence the elections. The governor is looking to fast-track several gun control bills into law after the Texas school shooting. One of the bills mimics a move in Texas targeting abortion.
Governor Gavin Newsom vowed to accelerate a series of gun reform bills aimed at reducing gun violence on Wednesday.
So we're here resolved, focused, energetically on moving well over a dozen bills forward, getting them to my desk where I will enthusiastically be signing those bills by the end of next month.
He added that he believes other states will follow California's lead. The bills were introduced just hours after the deadly massacre at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. The shooting claimed the lives of 19 children and 2 adults on May 24th. Among the bills introduced are Assembly Bill 1594. This bill would allow Californians to sue gun manufacturers for misconduct. Another bill would limit the marketing of certain firearms to minors. AB 1594 is one of the most talked about bills in the series. It is modeled after a Texas law that allows citizens to sue abortion providers. Currently, California has some of the strictest gun control laws in the country. Newsom said the state's progressive gun policies have consistently outperformed other states. Texas Governor Greg Abbott also held a press conference on Wednesday. He did not call for gun control legislation. Instead, he said real gun laws in California and other states are not effective in preventing shootings. According to an FBI report, active shooter incidents increased 52% last year. 6 of the 61 active shooter incidents across 30 states occurred in California.
May 26 marks the one-year anniversary since the mass shooting at the San Jose rail yard that killed 10. People held a memorial and a candlelight vigil to commemorate the lives lost.
The Valley Transportation Authority, or VTA, held a candlelight vigil and memorial to commemorate the 10 employees who were shot and killed in the rail yard last year.
While we've worked so hard to heal over the last year, we won't ever fully heal. It really is a journey. But what I want to see and what I continue to see is the strength that we have. It's the kind of strength that comes from dedicated people committed to the public we serve.
A VTA train sounded its horn 10 times for each employee. The candlelight vigil at 6:30 a.m. was held for both employees and their families.
I saw on a regular basis this year employees reaching out to their coworkers to simply ask how they're doing and be ready to listen with empathy to the reply. I see a spirit of trust and goodwill as we all work towards the common goal of making this workplace as safe as it can be and as productive as it can be.
A group of employees also built an eternal flame in honor of their coworkers. It was officially lit during the memorial. Candles representing each employee were also lit after their names were called.
Adrian Baeza.
I knew everyone personally. I had a relationship with everyone personally. And what I see out here in the crowd is nothing but love for our brothers. And let's take that path and let's take that course. Let's follow the path of love in honor of our brothers who we lost. And let's heal with not just words, but with actions.
There are counselors available to help people move forward. The family of one of the deceased, Lars Lane, filed a lawsuit on Thursday alleging that authorities failed to protect their employees. They are seeking damages for negligence, assault, battery, false imprisonment, and wrongful death.
Over 24 individuals are currently running in California's gubernatorial election. While the majority are Republicans, the 2 major political parties have ideological divides in who they want leading the state. Here's a look.
The California gubernatorial race is heating up over ideological divides. For the Republicans, the America First and Never Trump factions are in fierce competition in the California primaries. Tensions arose at the California Republican Party convention last month in Anaheim. Some pro-Trump candidates' mics were cut during their campaign speeches. Speakers accused the party brass of turning a blind eye to rigged proxy votes and pay-to-play politics for endorsements. The California Republican Party endorsed State Senator Brian Dahle. However, he is running against Jenny Ray LaRue, who is backed by the California Republican Assembly. The California Republican establishment has been slow to embrace the policies of former President Donald Trump. These include reducing U.S. dependence on other nations, including Communist China. Meanwhile, Democrats appear united behind California Governor Gavin Newsom, who is expected to win a second term. Newsom isn't facing any serious threats from within the Democratic Party or from independents. However, some fractures are beginning to show between the establishment and the progressive wing of the party. Green Democrats continue to push for environmental justice. They say climate change poses an existential threat. But that message may be lost on many Californians who are paying more than $6 a gallon for gas at most pumps. A total of 26 candidates are running in the 2022 gubernatorial race. This includes 4 Democrats, 11 Republicans, 8 independents, and 2 Green Party candidates.
In Los Angeles, witnesses testified that deputy gangs are still active in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. But the sheriff condemned on social media the proceeding as, quote, wildly unconstitutional and bizarre theatrics.
During an LA County Civilian Oversight Commission special hearing on Tuesday, witnesses testified that deputies have formed gangs that set up work slowdowns. They claim that the department does not answer calls in a timely manner. Among other things, they allegedly discipline colleagues who fail to fall in line.
The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is an organization of professionals who are mostly heroes. As you'll hear, these are people who have volunteered and are committed to community safety at personal risk. Our admiration for them, for the many we've met, is genuine, and our gratitude for their service is real. But within this organization, we've found a palpable fear, a fear of professional retribution, career suicide.
The commission announced an investigation into this matter earlier this year, although there were no judges present during Tuesday's hearing. Los Angeles Sheriff Alex Villanueva was invited to the hearing, but did not attend. Witnesses say 12 to 15 deputies are tattooed members of the Bandidos, an internal gang in East LA. Another witness admitted to being in an internal gang known as the Gladiators when he was a deputy at the Compton station. He told the panel he had run-ins with another gang, the Executioners, when he became the division's captain. In a tweet, Villanueva said the hearing was a scripted and well-rehearsed political stunt to influence the outcome of the election. He continued saying he was the first and only sheriff in 50 years to fire, discipline, and transfer employees for misconduct, and that claims of deputy gangs have been thrown out of court for lack of evidence.
It's a busy week for state lawmakers as they scramble to hear and vote on hundreds of bills in both houses. One bill seeking to change how police handle traffic stops recently caught the attention of the Orange County Sheriff. Let's take a look at what he's saying.
California lawmakers are set to hear a bill this week that will make changes to traffic stops. Senator Stephen Bradford introduced Senate Bill 1389 in February. The bill would prohibit law enforcement officers from pulling over vehicles for a low-level infraction without a separate, independent basis to initiate the stop. Minor traffic violations include not having an up-to-date vehicle registration, a license plate that is not fully secured, and a broken taillight. However, Orange County Sheriff Don Barnes strongly urged senators in a May 24th letter to reject the bill. He wrote that if passed, it would undermine the credibility of our laws and further cement California's reputation as a state that turns a blind eye to criminal activity. According to Barnes, addressing low-level infractions helps ensure vehicles on the road are operating in accordance with California law. Barnes wrote, "If a law is important enough to keep on the books, then it is important enough to enforce. Failure to enforce these laws essentially results in permission to break these laws." Additionally, Barnes said traffic stops for such low-level violations often result in uncovering more serious offenses such as seizing illegal guns or drugs. He wrote, "Taking away our ability to address smaller violations will remove an important tool for addressing the more serious law violations that have the potential to harm our residents." NTD reached out to Senator Stephen Bradford's office for comment.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. A Southern California city held an event to honor service members ahead of Memorial Day. The number of flags represent the year our country gained independence. And goats that help prevent wildfires may soon be a thing of the past. That's after a state employment department reinterpreted a 20-year-old law. That and more on California Today. New regulations to limit water use will soon come into play for California to combat the drought. But some people are skeptical, saying the drought is due to mismanagement.
New watering restrictions will soon be in place for non-residential parts of the state. On Tuesday, the State Water Resource Control Board unanimously voted on the watering ban. The board wrote, "The new regulation bans irrigating turf at commercial, industrial, and institutional properties, such as grass in front of or next to large industrial or commercial buildings. But the ban does not include watering for residential areas, community and recreational turf, or trees." Local agencies are also required to implement restrictions on water use. The ban will go into effect after the Office of Administrative Law approves the regulation. The approval process usually takes 10 days. Most of California's annual rain and snow falls between January and March, but officials said this year those months were the driest in nearly a century. Some in the agricultural sector are skeptical of the state's move to cut back on water and say the current drought is a result of mismanagement. Christy Diener, farmer and founder of the California Water for Food and People movement, told the Epoch Times that we cannot conserve our way into water abundance because we did not waste our way into any water shortages to begin with. She said, "Californians have saved 34% statewide over the last decade, adding there would be extra water if rationing was meaningful."
In Southern California's Newport Beach, flags line a pathway to honor service members. The annual event is held around Memorial Day.
Overlooking Newport Harbor stands 1,776 large American flags placed along the paths at Castaways Park. The number represents the date that the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence on July 4, 1776. The flags are part of the Exchange Club of Newport Harbor's 13th Annual Field of Honor, which recognizes those who served in the military and first responders in time for Memorial Day. On Memorial Day, the park will host a ceremony complete with a musical performance, presentation of colors, national anthem, flag-holding ceremony, and more. The Field of Honor opened May 20th and will close after Memorial Day on May 30th. Following the event, dedicated flags can be taken home or donated to the Exchange Club to use for next year. Similarly, in Los Angeles, the Sheriff's Office holds a memorial torch run every year to honor their fallen deputies and police officers.
Farmers in the state are using goats as wildfire prevention by eating up as much dry grass as they can. But legislation is coming in that will make it infeasible. An owner of herding business tells NTD's David Lamb that the industry may drastically change.
These goats are peacefully grazing, and it's from them naturally eating their way through dry fuel and brush that helps prevent wildfires. But based on changes to state policies, we may be seeing less of these four-legged friends deployed for services. California's Employment Development Department, or EDD, has recently changed its interpretation of a regulation from 20 years ago. It will influence how much farmhands must be paid for their service. And that will run certain people out of business, like Andre Soares, a fourth-generation sheep producer and owner of Star Creek Land Stewards. She says the EDD's new interpretation is impacting the livestock industry.
Very recently, the EDD has arbitrarily interpreted the regulations to indicate that those employees that are coming to herd goats suddenly and no longer fit into the same wage structure that they have been approving them for decades.
According to her company website, shepherds are responsible for the health of their herds, setting up fencing and moving the herds. Soares says her employees would make more money than she does. She said it's simply not affordable.
But rather, they say that those herding goats need to be paid under a different wage structure, which comes out to be $170,000 per year for that one employee. That $170,000 per year is 4 times the current structure that they've been approving these employees under. It's absurd on its face and must be corrected, and the impact to the whole state of California is drastic.
In a letter dated May 16th by Assemblyman James Gallagher, a dozen lawmakers urged the Department of Industrial Relations and the EDD to reverse the new classification between the herders. Soares Livestock Company focuses on fire prevention for about half of the year, mostly in Northern California. Her team of shepherds come from Peru, working here through an H-2A visa program.
People kind of jokingly say, oh, well, I'll quit my job and be a goat herder. The reality is those jobs won't be available because there will be no employer putting forth a work petition for $170,000 a year because they won't be able to offer that job.
Each of her shepherds can tend to about 800 goats. Since her company has about 7,500 goats and sheep, her company would need around 9 shepherds. She told NTD that sheep and goats are managed the same way and often together in California, and the work to do so is the same.
Right now, as a result of this arbitrary interpretation by our bureaucracy, the EDD in California, there are employers right now who are without employees to manage their livestock. It is an animal welfare issue and crisis, as well as a human welfare crisis.
Goats have been traditionally used to clear land and can treat landscapes where conventional machinery cannot, such as steep terrain. According to Soares, sheep and goats in California remove about 550,000 tons of vegetation annually. She's calling on the EDD to retract their interpretation, adding that California could be entering a devastating fire season, making the state's carbon climate goals counterintuitive. NTD reached out to California's EDD for comment. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
We've been following the growth of Spirit, the eaglet, for almost 3 months now. The young bird is now old enough to fledge. Just this week, Spirit took one step closer in preparing for the day she can take to the skies.
Spirit, the bald eaglet, is determined to get in all of those practice hours she needs for her first flight. She has been hanging out on the front porch balcony more often. Just the other day, she took some small hops and even hovered off the branch, even if only for a second. Most eaglets fledge around 10 to 14 weeks of age. Young Spirit is currently 12 weeks old. Friends of Big Bear Valley operates a live stream of the nest. The organization shared an interesting fact on its website. Spirit and her older brother Simba, hatched in 2019, both conquered the front porch at 79 days of age. After Spirit's first flight from the nest, she is very likely to come back to eat, sleep, or just visit us from time to time for another month or 2. During that time, she will follow her mother, Jackie, and father, Shadow, around. She will watch and learn from their behaviors before she leaves on her own great adventure.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup.
Quarterback Colin Kaepernick attended workouts with the Las Vegas Raiders on Wednesday, a source with the NFL Players Association told Reuters. He remains unsigned, which is not unusual directly after an offseason workout. Kaepernick has not played in the NFL since 2016. While listed as the backup QB behind Blaine Gabbert for the 49ers, Kaepernick began protesting against racial injustice by kneeling during the U.S. national anthem before games, prompting national controversy. After the 49ers waived him to avoid paying his massive contract, the then 29-year-old backup QB went unsigned as a free agent in 2017. He then filed a collusion grievance against NFL owners, saying he was being retaliated against for his activism. In 2019, the two sides settled. Ever since 2016, Kaepernick has frequently posted workout and training videos through social media, showing to the world that he is still ready to play football. He has repeatedly made public comments that he is ready to play, and last month indicated that he is willing to accept a role as a backup quarterback if the opportunity became available. This seems to be a different tune than before, when Kaepernick turned down a $7 million contract over 2 years with the Denver Broncos back in 2016. This all plays into the Raiders now giving Kaepernick a workout, since NFL owner Mark Davis has said publicly many times that he would welcome him onto the team if his staff wants to bring him in. However, the Raiders already have a franchise quarterback in Derek Carr. It would be surprising for many if Kaepernick were to take Carr's starting spot. Las Vegas also already has 3 backup quarterbacks, making Kaepernick the 5th QB on the roster if signed. It remains to be seen what the next chapter is for Colin Kaepernick, but there is a whole lot of precedent for great 49ers going on to join Raider Nation. Eric Fedde scattered 4 hits over 6 innings, and Cesar Hernandez had a run-scoring single, as Washington avoided being swept by visiting Los Angeles with a win. Fedde had 6 strikeouts and a walk to lead Washington to just its 3rd win in its past 10 games. The Nats ended a 9-game losing streak to the Dodgers. The Dodgers, who were blanked for the first time this season, lost for just the 2nd time in their past 11 contests, after winning the first 2 games of the series by a combined score of 19-5. Dodgers 0, Nationals 1. Paul Blackburn allowed only 1 hit in 5 1/3 scoreless innings as Oakland defeated host Seattle. Seth Brown and Elvis Andrus homered for the A's. Blackburn lowered his ERA to 1.7, walking 5 and striking out 2. Danny Jimenez pitched a 1-2-3 ninth to earn his 10th save of the season. Mariners left-hander Robbie Ray took the loss. Ray gave up 3 runs on 7 hits in 6 innings. He walked 1 and matched a season high with 10 strikeouts. Mariners 2, A's 4. Mitch Garver and Cole Calhoun homered, and Glenn Otto threw 5 effective innings to lead Texas to a victory over Los Angeles in Anaheim, California. Garver and Calhoun both have been hot lately. Garver has homered in 3 consecutive games, and Calhoun has 6 long balls in his past 10. Calhoun also singled, doubled, and scored 3 runs and drove in 2. Angels starter Reed Detmers exited after allowing a leadoff single to Calhoun in the 7th. Detmers yielded 5 runs on 5 hits and a walk with 3 strikeouts. Angels 2, Rangers 7.
And that's all for sports.
And that's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news tips or ideas for our show, or just want to let us know how we're doing, our email is california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. We'll see you next time.